You've probably had some more time to look at Creighton. What stands out about what they do, especially offensively?
Yeah, they're just elite offensively. I knew that going into watching them. I played them before. They spread you. They're 5 out. They all can shoot the three. I mean, they average 10 made threes a game, attempt 25. So this is, and again, it's just motion. And so this is one of those teams that's, they're hard to guard, but they don't have a true post player. We got to be able to go inside on them. We got to be able to really get downhill and attack them. They're going to switch everything because of that. So, they are what I thought they were, but obviously just diving into it. And now we've been on the floor 2 days and really trying to guard it. The great thing about this is we do have 4 days of prep. They're a really hard team to play if you have a 1 day prep or no day prep.
What's it look? I mean, they're an old team too. So what's the combination of their experience with being in that system as long as they have?
When you play a motion system, experience matters because it's so many reads and feel and chemistry. And that's what, again, they're like us. They're probably even older than us. They have 2,000 point scorers on the team, a couple fifth years, and then regular seniors. So very, very old team that understands how to play, the way they want to play. I mean, shoot, they're only lost 6 games. 3 of them were to UConn and then to UCLA, all ranked teams. Actually, I think there was all their losses are to top 5 teams in the country.
Just the experience of your team though as well in postseason basketball, what can that do for you, and maybe what's the difference between postseason basketball and what you get in the regular season?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing we've been talking about is really trying to utilize that and get our kids to understand that WBIT last year, that really, they understand how to win in March. They understand how to win. We had to play multiple styles. We had to play Villanova, that's similar to Creighton style, 5 out. We had to play Tulsa, same style as that. And then just having to win a game or go home. So we're really pulling in from that, and we do. We have the experience. We have multiple seniors as well. So I told our guys that on Sunday is that our experience has to be an advantage for us, and we understand our league has prepared us to play really good teams, to play a lot of different styles of teams. And we got to utilize that as well. So we're prepared. We know what it's going to take. We gotta come out, and obviously we got to defend at an elite level. And then you got to be able to put the ball in the basket on these guys, and we got to be really, really aggressive and set the tone in terms of getting paint touches and scoring in the paint.
What about for you and your experience, specifically in postseason games? I'm talking about in-game. What have you learned as a coach about anything that needs to be different?
I really in March, you are who you are, really, right? You're not going to reinvent the wheel. You're not going to change your players. You're not going to put in a new system. We just got to be the best versions of ourselves, and you got to play really, really desperate, and you got to play really, really hard, and it's all about execution level at this time of the year, and that's what I keep telling them, and I understand that every little detail does matter, and then who plays harder and who plays with more execution for longer, and that's who's going to win these games. And I got to be, as a head coach, I got to be really locked in. I got to be prepared for every single thing that they may throw at us, and how I can lead our players too, and help make those changes. Because same thing as coaches, as players, if you don't win, you go home. So we all, and I talk to our staff, I talk to our players, everything's ramped up this time of the year. Every little thing matters. Preparation is elite, practice has to be on point. Everything matters.
When you top 5 defense for you as well, top 5 scoring defense this season, when you look at what maybe you had when you've been locked in versus in some other games, what's that kind of look like for your team, especially guarding a 3-point shooting team like them?
Yeah, it's focus, it's effort, it's discipline. Those are, you got to be so focused in, and all that comes back to our principles. This is a principle game. When a team runs a motion like this, it's not like they're calling out a set every time where we can have it scouted. We understand, okay, they're running, play X. And then we go into how we're guarding it. This is where you gotta move when the ball moves. You gotta be in a stance. You gotta keep your butt to the baseline in terms of our defensive. Everything has to go through your chest because they slip you if you get caught up. We don't switch a ton, so it's principle-driven basketball at this point. And when you're playing a system like Creighton, because they are so good at making you pay. You help off strong side one little bit, they kick that out, that's an open three, that's a layup for them. So just being very, very solid in our principles.
On Sunday, there were some mentions of maybe health. Where are you guys at? How much can you share from a health standpoint about where you are?
Yeah, we're getting there. We had more of our players. We had at least our normal starting 5 all practice the last couple of days, which is a really good thing for us. We didn't have that last week, so but again, maybe that's a blessing too. Some of those guys were able to to get a little bit of rest, but then our other guys were able to get really good reps in and keep our conditioning. So again, we're getting there, but we're not at full strength, and obviously we won't be for that next game.
When you think of the coach that Calamity was, and then she goes to Texas for a year, and then coming back, what maybe changed about her and her growth and her development as an assistant coach that you've seen?
I don't think she changed at all. I mean, she's very strong in who she is as a person and in her values, and that's why she's elite. But also, I think it's always good when you can go somewhere else and learn from another coach, and obviously what Vic does there at Texas and their defensive style and how they do things. He's one of the best out there. So obviously she picked up a lot of things there throughout a season, and I think that was good for her growth. And I always think it's good sometimes for I didn't want her to leave Dayton, but I think sometimes when you go away and you learn some things and get another view, another conference, more experience, and then be able to come back, it adds value. So she's one of the best, if not the best, assistant coaches in the country, and I'm super blessed to have her. We are as a program, our kids are. I hope she's here for a long, long time.
You say that, but I mean, she's someone who would seem to fit the profile of a head coach one day. What do you think that she could be as a head coach, and how do you kind of monitor that?
Yeah, that's the thing as a head coach, and I was an assistant before, and I had a dream of being a head coach, and it's always that fine line as a head coach. Like I said, I want her to be here with me forever, but you also want them to live out their dreams. And if her dream is to be a head coach, and she gets that opportunity at a school that she thinks fits, and I would give her my opinion, then I want her to go live out her dreams. Same thing with Ryan. I want Ryan. Ryan's been with me forever, and selfishly you want him to stay forever, but that's not what this is about. This is about your people who give and pour in so much to the program. It's about helping them live out their dream. And so I'll always support them and be there for them, and want them to do that if it's the right situation and they feel it's the best fit for them.
How valuable just has this experience been for Barry and some of your younger players to go through this process and go through an NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge, right? Like she's our younger guys, even guys that aren't playing, or even our guys that are hurt, to be able to go through everything that this is about. That's going to help them as we continue to grow this program, and they're going to be those leaders next year. Barry's been so huge for us this year. I mean, she's just such a huge part of what we're doing, what we have done, the success we've had, and what we're going to do in the future and going into next year and years to come. She's going to be, that person. And, I even talked to her about that last week about, next year, you're going to have to step up and as a leader, and, it's going to be essentially, her team and Gretchen, those guys that have really experienced. So it's good for them. This is a great experience. I mean, what an unbelievable experience Barry has gotten throughout this year. Everything that she's done, and I'm just so proud of her, and she's continuing to grow, and the sky's the limit. She's going to be an unbelievable player here and have a great career.
Along those lines, what do you hope Cece and Erica take from this, where everything's kind of happening for them right now, but what do you want them to get out of this week?
Yeah, I think the same. Joe, what you said, I mean, this is so big for, and especially them, they're not even playing, but like just to see all of it, to have that feeling of what it's like to have your name called, and it's even cool watching them, like in their reaction, at the selection show, like they were, freaking out, and they're not even actively playing. So this is just to get that feeling of how special this is, and how, special March is. I say it all the time, and these guys know, like, this is what you dream about. This is, as a kid, what you prepare for. This is what, I'm sure, I know I did it. Like, you're out in your driveway, like, pretend like you're in the NCAA tournament, and and you're making that last shot, then you miss it and you get fouled, and then you miss a free throw, and then as a kid, there was a lane violation 5 times. And I mean, we all had those things in the driveway, and March is just so, it's everything that you want to get to. It's just, and I said at Selection Show, I know I will never, I don't care how long I do this, I will never get tired of Selection Sunday and hearing your name and the preparation, the grind, the adrenaline of this week leading into it. It's amazing. So I hope they take all of that, and then you just want it more and more and more.
How important was Sunday? It kind of honestly took me until the drive home to remember 2 years ago they screwed up the show and you didn't get to hear your name called.
Yeah.
Was it important for that group to have that moment at least once in their career?
No, you're right, because I was really disappointed in that first one. Obviously, you're happy because you're in the NCAA tournament, but it's funny, I was on the phone yesterday in my office and I'm walking around, I'm looking at the picture of our selection show, and it's a picture of when it was called. And like no one even jumped up. Like you have a couple like hands up and a little pom-pom, but it wasn't like that real feel of hearing your name. And that's why even the other day when we had kind of the glitch in I would shut all those other TVs off. I want these guys to get that true excitement of seeing and hearing their name. And then you saw the reaction. That was a reaction that kids have when they hear that, and just seeing how special it is for them and then for all of our fans. That was so important to me and to all of us, is to invite them in to experience that too. I just think that was a moment that these kids will remember the rest of their lives.
I think Jen kind of touched on that, to share that with kind of her last hurrah here in town to have with the fans. Like, what looking back, what that mean to you to make that a whole thing and not just sequester here somewhere?
I think it's what we preach. We talk about family all the time. We talk about, at least with women's basketball, we're constantly talking about the community and needing them. Like this is hand in hand. We need the community to do what we need to do. We need people in State Farm Center. We need those fans. We need this to be a place that it's really, really hard for opposing teams to come and play. So if we're saying that, and I'm constantly, preaching that and asking them to come and come to our games, where let's invite them in to be with us in that moment. I just think that's just who we are, what we want this culture to be.
Is it fair when you look at Creighton, their secondary offense is just going and getting it off the rim? It seems like they average 12, 13, 14 offensive rebounds a game because they shoot so many threes.
Yeah, I mean, long shots are long rebounds, so that's one of my biggest keys. It is every game for us, but rebounding is a really important key in this game. They don't have great size, so we have to be able to, even on our offensive boards, be able to get some old boards and some putbacks, and we got to hold them to one and done. You can't let this team, there was a game I was watching, I forget because I watched so many, but they had, I think it was 4 or 5 old boards in one possession. You just can't give them those. They're going to score. If you give them multiple times to get a shot off, they're going to make you pay. So that's one of the biggest keys for these guys. And to be honest, I think, for how good of a team Creighton is, they're not a 9 seed. They're just not. It's kind of like the men's side with what you have, that Louisville, whoever they play as that 8-9, and Creighton's really good. And again, they only lost 6 games. So I personally think they should not be a 9 seed, and I'm sure Jim probably feels the same way. So,
just to profile this program to be to NCAA tournament not once but twice, what does that do for just the profile of where you're trying to take this program?
Yeah, it's what we want, right? It's what we came here to do. We want to get to the NCAA tournament every year, and then as we get further along in that, then it's about when you're in the NCAA tournament. Okay, what's the highest seed we can get? Getting into that next weekend. Getting to a Sweet 16. There's steps in this process, but to make it 2 out of 3 years, in the year we didn't make it last year, to win a championship, that's kind of setting the stage for again what we expect. We came here to win, and the NCAA tournament's obviously, as I talked about earlier, it's what you play for. So yeah, hopefully this will start a long streak, but understanding it's still really hard to do. It is so hard to get there, and that's why you don't want to take it for granted.